We got some epic news, Vegas Strip style for you. Welcome back. We have Circus Circus being sold. Actively, Phil Ruffin, the owner, is looking for buyers. Now, I made a video back last fall where I said, of course, he's not selling it. Don't be ridiculous. Why would a man put $40 million into something and then go and sell it? But we're going to go through this review journal article. We're going to go Man, Phil Ruffin is the penultimate salesperson, and billionaires all lie to you. So we're going to kind of dissect some of his lies that I think are lies. And we'll see if Circus Circus will even stand to weather the next 10 years. So if you have memories, I highly recommend you get to Circus Circus soon because they have put a lot of money into it, which is nice. But yeah, we're going to go through the article right now. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas, by the way. I made a video last fall. I said it's not being sold. Looks like it is. Circus Circus, the venerable 56-year-old North Strip resort that caters to families and low-budget visitors, may be soon sold by owner Phil Ruffin. Now, if you don't know who Phil Ruffin is, he's a guy who is about 1,000 years old, and he is best friends with Donald Trump. He's actually partial owner in the Trump Tower. Before he owned the Circus Circus, he actually owned the New Frontier. He sold that before the whole real estate bubble cratered out in 2008-ish. And then he bought the Circus Circus from MGM Resorts International. He also owns the festival grounds to the north of it. And he also owns, like I say, part of Trump Tower. And he also owns the Treasure Island, too. Ruffin, who owns the Treasure Island, oh, thank you, RJ, good journalism there, is in Washington for President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration and was unavailable for comment on Friday, but a story in business magazine Forbes outlined Ruffin's strategy for selling the property, saying it and the surrounding 102 acres used as an outdoor festival grounds is worth $5 billion. First thing, I don't know that it's worth $5 billion, Phil. You can say that all you want. Why don't you just say it's worth $50 billion, $500 billion, $1 trillion? Things are worth what people are willing to pay for them. And if we've learned anything from the Fontainebleau, and if we've learned anything from Resorts World Las Vegas, and if we've learned anything from the struggles of the Sahara, is that the north end of the strip is not where it's at. All right. Now, just quick side note, people will pay what the market commands. And if nobody wants an electric vehicle because they suck for the most part in most parts of the country, then Ford's going to be sitting on a bunch of EVs and wishing and hoping that somebody would buy them and crying for the government to stop these mandates. And that's what happens in anything. So is it worth $5 billion? I don't know. Is it worth 2.5? Is he going to get a fair market for it? Who knows? It's the best piece of land on the West Coast. I stop you right there, Phil. I love you for your braggadocious way that you are trying to pitch the property. This is the best property on the West Coast. I think, and I'm not making light of the fires, I'm pretty sure there are people in Santa Monica right now, and there are large swatch of lands that are going to become available, unfortunately, because of the fires that have a lot of arguments against your ridiculousness here. Ruffin said in the Forbes article, it's got the highway. That's Interstate 15. True enough, I guess. It's got Sahara. He's talking about Sahara Avenue, not the hotel. It's got 2,000 feet of strip frontage. Okay. And it's the last strip property. That's not true. It's not the last strip property, dog. What are you even talking about? There's a whole undeveloped plot of land on the south end of the strip where the Tropicana used to sit. And until they put shovels in the ground, anything can happen there. And we also have the plot of land that the Wynn owns that they recently turned into a parking lot not far from you, dude. And, if you're thinking, though, he is wrong because of the north stuff, that's not the strip. The strip goes from Sahara down to Hacienda Road where the Mandalay Bay sits. You also have the land that sits where the Travelodge used to be. I mean, it's not the last plot of land on the strip, so he's just doing what salespeople do. Ruffin said he has been approached by buyers to sell the 3,760. Really? I didn't even know there was 3,767 rooms there. But he did not say who the potential buyers are if he sells Circus Circus. Ruffin told Forbes he will use the proceeds to buy another property, possibly in Vegas. Who are you buying a property from? I would imagine if he was going to buy a property, it would be from Caesars Entertainment, because as far as I understand, Caesars has still not divested a property. During COVID-19, Eldorado Resorts came in and bought a struggling Caesars. I think it was just called Caesars. And they rebranded the company on the stock tickers to Caesars Entertainment. And they were supposed to divest a property because they didn't want Eldorado owning way too much stuff in Vegas. That's a possibility. It's also possible Phil could come out and just buy the plot of land that Penn Gaming owns, where they're going to try to build the athletic stadium. But yeah, it's interesting. Ruffin's potential sale of Circus Circus mirrors a strategy he used when acquiring the Frontier in 1998 for 165 million. Can you believe that you in 1998 could buy something on the strip for 168 million? After helping settle a labor dispute at the Frontier, they had the longest strike in the history of Las Vegas at the Frontier. I think it went on for years. Ruffin established the new Frontier, but ended up selling it 9 years later for 1.2 billion. How's that for a return on your investment? He 10x'd his money. He used that seed money to acquire Treasure Island and partner with Trump on one of his best friends to build the neighboring non-gaming Trump International Hotel. Quote, "Why do you think I bought Circus Circus?" Ruffin said in the Forbes article. "For the 102 acres. That's the land play. Remember what I did at the Frontier, how the value of the land went crazy. Here it's going crazier." Now, I will have to take his word on this because I have no idea what commercial real estate on the Las Vegas Strip looks like. But I will say it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. And if we look at comps or comparables in the real estate market, I'm sure they do this in commercial real estate. What are people willing to pay for it? And it's almost impossible in this case to say what it's really worth, isn't it? Because if you take a look at the resorts world, that project started in 2004. And it took nearly 20 years to complete because of various factors. It was started off as Echelon Place, now it's Resorts World. Then you have the Fontainebleau next door, and that started off around 2008-ish, 2006-ish. And that took a ton of time and cost $5 billion. So he's only valuing the land at $5 billion. Who knows if the Circus Circus would remain standing? The North Strip seems to be well positioned for prosperity, even as some of Circus Circus's neighbors struggle. I haven't read the article, I'm just going through it with you. Snuggled between the Sahara and Fontainebleau is a 17-acre property under development by LVXP. That will never happen. They don't have the money. I'd love to see it happen, but they want to build a basketball stadium when there's another basketball stadium that's being built by the Rio, and then there's a perfectly good venue in T-Mobile Arena. Like, it's crazy. They say hopes to build a 752-foot, 2,605-unit hotel and condominium project with an 18,000-seat arena and a 6,000-seat theater. The Clark County Commission has greenlit developments. Just east of Fontainebleau on 10 acres where Riviera once sold, land is being developed by Brent Torino and BPS Partners. County commissioners unanimously voted to approve the plan for mixed-use attraction featuring two 600-foot towers and a 439-foot amusement ride at Las Vegas and Elvis Presley Boulevards. The towers would include a 750-room non-gaming hotel and a 425-unit multifamily condominium. A 3,300-seat domed performance venue is also tabbed for the eastmost 5 acres, which Fontainebleau is buying for $112.5 million. The North Strip is home to the city's newest convention center, the Las Vegas Convention Center's West Hall, and a few blocks south of the Sphere, a 17,000-seat entertainment venue that has now activated a new push to become one of the most active arenas around, with multiple shows daily and a lineup of concert residencies that include the Eagles, Dead & Company, Kenny Chesney, who begins in May. The Strip, the Sphere is losing money, though. Like, the Sphere is losing money. You can celebrate all these successes, and these are good things, but even MySpace lost money, and it was the darling of everything. MySpace. Does anybody remember MySpace? Oh, you don't? That's because it lost money for its owners after they were purchased by Fox. Literally, Fox bought it, News Corporation. While the future appears bright for the neighborhood, not all existing resorts are flourishing. Sphere Entertainment, which I haven't read the article, Sphere Entertainment, which operates the Sphere, lost $480 million last year. So you're a developer and you're like, "Hey, Phil, how much for this Circus Circus?" And he's like, "Hey, $500 billion, but I'll take $5 billion. Yeah, I'll make you a deal." I don't know if that's how he talks. I've never heard him talk, but he sounds like Moses Salak or Anthony Fauci for some reason. And you buy it and you lose money on it. Is that what the play here is? Like, I don't care. You make your money. I make mine. The company's next earnings call is weeks away. Resorts World, which opened in 2021 and is mired in regulatory issues, recently reported its worst quarter in 2 years, with profits down 23%. The Fontainebleau, partially owned by Koch Real Estate, it's Coke, don't say it the other way, you gross kids, is reportedly struggling to find his financial flooring. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're an investor and you're looking at $5 billion, my goodness, you'd have to finance that. And money is hard to borrow right now. Prime interest rate, if I'm looking at my trading chart, so the Fed 10-year bond is 4.592 right now. It's been fluctuating. I mean, that's the price to borrow money. And if you don't have to borrow money and you just sink money into this thing, what are you doing with it? Are you just running it as a hotel for 100 years to make money back on it? I don't know. Bright days for Circus. Ruffin sees brighter days ahead and says Circus Circus is performing well. We do well. I'm still going with that voice. Ruffin said, told Forbes. We sell $2 beers, $2 hot dogs, $2 popcorn. People love it. A guy can eat and drink for $6. I do like Circus Circus. I think it's one of those properties you should go to, even if you're a little up there in terms of economic status. While the property routinely attracts customers on a low budget, it has a steady customer base with its live circus acts, a staple for the property since it's opened. Its indoor amusement park, Adventure Dome, is in its next door neighbor, Slots of Fun. According to the Forbes article, when Ruffin sells Circus Circus, he plans to buy another property on the Strip with proceeds, thus avoiding paying capital gains. So in order to do this, I don't understand the tax code. I'm not tax advice. If you're thinking of buying a property on the Strip and selling it, I think you have to buy a property that costs more than what you have for your proceeds, because I know that's how 1031 exchanges is it with the housing market works. So let's say your house is worth 500,000 and you make 500,000 profit, your house is paid off. You therefore need to buy a house worth 500 and some more thousands in order to avoid capital gains taxes. His preference is to buy something in Las Vegas, where Brendan Bussman, a gambling industry analyst with Las Vegas-based B Global, said everything is always on the table at the right price. Yes and no. But if Las Vegas does not work out for Ruffin's next move, he is willing to look for opportunities in other states. I have my eyes on some properties. I don't know why I'm doing that voice. Ruffin said, it could be in another town if it's good enough. Okay. Ruffin already owns a Greyhound racing track in his former hometown of Wichita, Kansas, converting it into a racino to be called the Golden Circle. That's cool. Golden Circle. That's actually the name of the sports book at the Treasure Island. So he's got the branding consistent. I can appreciate that. With a $200 million investment, he plans to add another outdoor concert venue and install a Gillies saloon. Oh, that's cool. Gillies is spreading out. He also owns a casino in Miami, managing it from his Las Vegas office. I think he also owned stuff in the Caribbean back in the day. Our dear friend who went to heaven, Dirk Arthur, actually worked for or performed at Phil Ruffin's properties with his exotic cats and stuff like that. But that's the news today. And oh boy, as John Lennon once sang in a song, that's pretty serious news. But again, I think that it's interesting to think that you have this property, and if it's sold to the right investor, there could be something there. But we are going to have to see what the next 1 to 2 years is like. I mean, Donald Trump was inaugurated literally today. We're going to see if the economy gets better, if inflation stays where it is, because inflation's been actually inching up. So you guys are aware. And when inflation goes up, quarter over quarter, month over month, what the feds do is they actually increase interest rates to try to tamp down inflation. So it's going to be a lot of the people who buy it looking to do something with it and seeing what they could do. Other than that, they could just be sitting on it as an investment. But I mean, if you're coming into Vegas and you have a brand, I don't know who would be a buyer for this kind of thing in the industry. But if you have a brand and you want to build something, you're not going to renovate Circus Circus. It is 56 years old. It is far too old for a renovation. It is a teardown job, and it becomes a money pit if it's not done with good financing terms and deals. But that's the video. If you got value out of this video, be sure to subscribe to this channel. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. We do news updates on Vegas, live streams on Vegas. We do documentary films on Vegas. I tell you how it really is. And I sound like Mo off The Simpsons or Anthony Fauci when I do the voices. All right, guys. You guys are great. Like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one. 3, 2, 1, as we always say, and click.